Right there.
Okay, question for Hayden. You've been in business for a really long time. What do you like better, doing live action or like lending your voice to characters like Dot and Kyrie?
You know what? I love both, and I think they're both expressive in their own way, and they're both difficult in their own way, because with acting, you have a camera in your face. You can express, things that may not come through your voice with the way you look, or just with tears and things that are physical, that can physically be there. And with acting with your voice, it's very different, and it's harder because you really have to express feelings through the way that you speak only. And they're fun. I mean, it makes me really antsy being in the studio. I mean, it's tedious work. With things like Kingdom Hearts, I was in the studio, I think, was it 6 hours every time I went in there? And it was like a few sessions at a time, and it was originally in Japanese. So the Japanese, if you ever hear those kind of languages, what they say, like one word, like tree, will be like 3 words. It'll be the length of 3 words. And so these sentences were really short and went on forever. So I don't speak Japanese. It was originally Japanese. And so I had to dub it so that my voice would start, I'd say it over the same period of time. So I would be talking like this without making it sound strange, which is very difficult. But I love acting. I love hands-on things. It keeps me preoccupied. I love playing my character because I'm constantly being broken and battered, and it keeps me entertained.
Straight up show to me, it seems like it has great art that's kind of anticipated, and it's about to mind the whole Destiny show.
Right.
Is that something that you do right up down the road, what your character is?
Did everybody hear that question? The question is, what's your name? Josh. What Josh likes about the show is that it has a real arc, and it seems like the writers have a real anticipation of where the story's going, and are we kept abreast of that? And the answer is no.
Yeah, very much no. Let me tell you, we're on episode 17 right now, and we're just getting the script because we're starting like this next week for 18. We have none of us have read 19. We're clueless. They don't even keep us an episode ahead. You have to like sit them down and they're just like torturing you. We had to fly to Vegas for 12 hours the other day, and we were sitting all alone in the airport. There was me, Sendel, and Mossy, and the directors, and a couple of the producers and the writers and stuff. And I saw 118 sitting on the table, and Dennis Hammer, who's one of our producers, wouldn't let me have it. He wouldn't let me have it. I said, please, just let me read part of it, please. And he wouldn't let me do it. So Sendel, as soon as he turned around, Sendel goes, hey, grab the script. So I grabbed the script and I hide it and I pass it under the table to Mossy, and he's passing it back, and he goes, hey, give me back that script. So I didn't get to read it at all, but I got to hold it. But I've never done it. It's not holding.
Oh yeah. To go along with the 12-hour wait in Vegas, how is it like with location, scouting, like production? How long does it usually take for like an episode? Like how long does it usually take for like an episode?
You guys are all from Florida?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if any of you guys know where Santa Clarita is in California, I live in West Hollywood. We film at Sunset Gower, which is like 10 minutes down the street from my house. And then they decided that everything I have to shoot outside must be shot in Santa Clarita, which is about an hour north. So it's pretty difficult.
And you mean like the length of time it takes to do that?
Yeah, just basically from
like
you get the script and then basically to post get.
Well, I mean, the good thing about the show for us too is that like our stories are pretty isolated when they happen. So when you're at work, you're used most of the time. Whereas with other shows, like ensemble shows that involve all the cast being together, sometimes you go and just sit around for a really long time.
Yeah.
So it depends. I mean, it depends on if it's just a scene between like Hayden and Jack, and it's like a father-daughter kind of thing. It doesn't take as long as.
Unless you're working with Hal.
Unless you're working with Hal and like cover everything.
He likes it.
Angles, but no. But if you're doing something like the scene at the end of episode 11 with Eden. and Siler and when I kill her, when I pull her through the glass, that took 15 hours to shoot. Just that one scene. We were brought in on a Saturday, and that was all done really hush-hush because, you know, Hayden was dying, and nobody
They're all like
got to
secret
know,
scenes.
and we got pulled into our trailers with sealed envelopes and at the time, and, you know, it was like that kind of secrecy. And then the scene took 15 hours to do, and it was on screen for less than 2 minutes, honestly, that scene was like that, you know. Because they had to do green screen special effects, and so it really depends on the level of like visual effects that are involved in what you're doing. One of the coolest things they do on the show is every Friday they have a screening, a lunch screening, so that our Friday lunch hour is spent together watching the episode that's going to air on Monday. So it's really great because we get to, for the most part, we get to experience it with each other and sort of see what we've all contributed to make. So pretty cool. I definitely have a season pass through on my own season.
It really is good. And you can also download it on iTunes with no previews, which I personally like. But it's incredible. We're all really big fans of the show, and just seeing how things turn out. Just because you read them on paper, scripts change every day, and your script looks like a rainbow by the end of the week. But so it's really cool to see how things turn out, and it's totally different, so.
Right there.
You guys mentioned how secret it was before. How much did you know about your characters when you signed on?
I don't think much. I mean, you do, but see, the thing about this kind of script is what my question about it originally, to be perfectly honest, was, well, yeah, the script's good, but how are you going to continue a storyline like this for potentially 6 seasons? And that's a question, because it's a kind of a tricky thing when you sign on to, especially an ensemble, is because you don't know how much they're going to write for you. You could sign a contract for 6 years and not be able to do anything else and have nothing to do because you signed it. But they didn't really tell us all that much. I mean, it was about how much if the pilot was going to go or not, and we actually filmed a 2-hour pilot so that if it didn't get picked up, then we could use it maybe as a mini-series. But it was tricky. We didn't. I think we filmed the pilot, and then it was like a few months. It was like, how long was it? We didn't start filming again until July, and
we came in at different times because I didn't do the pilot. I got cast. My first audition for the show was the day it premiered. So at the end of September is when I auditioned for it. And so it was a different experience because they were sort of already ahead of that point, you know. And the scenes that I used to audition with were actually scenes that they wrote for the audition. So they weren't really scenes that ultimately ended up in the series. Versions of them did, you know. But they wrote them specifically for that. So they do that. Like I just had to be a part of auditions for a new character that's coming on the show later, and they do that. They'll write, you know, scenes that might not get used in the show, but just sort of draw out the aspects of the character that they need to see to make their decision. So I think it was probably for Hayden and me 2 very different experiences.
yeah, it was really crazy too, because when we did film it, when it was 2 hours, we had Greg Grunberg, who plays the cop. He was in the original pilot. DL was in the pilot. Everyone was in the pilot, and you know, when it got picked up, the producers called and was like, you know, you're not in the pilot anymore. We had to split it out. So they weren't very happy about it, but so it turned out really different the way they cut it, and even from a week before the premiere till the premiere, the night of the premiere, and we watched it at this little restaurant. We had a little party. It was completely a different version of anything I had seen. The music, the cues, the way it was cut, the scenes that were in, the special effects, everything changed.